11 Sun Devils headed to the NFL. I'm waiting on a phone call to make it 12, but let's talk about how important those 11 are right now.
Happy Monday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils Show. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by Brendan Sorsby's translator, Erik Ruby. Of course, we got the woolly Wulbrecht behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Emily and David here in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We got a smorgasbord of topics on this lovely Monday afternoon. Rubus, of course, the 2026 NFL draft is now behind us, and 11 Sun Devils headed to the NFL via the draft, also as undrafted free agents. We're going to tell you exactly where every single one of those Sun Devils ended up, how we feel about those fits, and maybe if some of them fell in the draft a little bit further than they should have. Randy Bennett has himself a new addition to the ASU men's basketball team. Potentially a look at what a starting five could look like in Randy Bennett's first season in Tempe. And then, Rubus, I know that I may be getting a little ahead of myself here. We already recorded an audio-only episode that's going to hit everyone's feed Tuesday morning on this topic. But I feel like we can't start off this Monday show and not at least talk a little bit about Brendan Sorsby putting it all on red, right? We can't not spend a little bit of time talking about that.
I mean, is it ironic that the team he went to wears red and black? But yeah, man, that it completely changes the Big 12. And like you said, we're going to talk kind of more about it in our audio only going out tomorrow, but the entire, outlook of the Big 12, the entire outlook of college football has changed. And if they follow the rules, which you and I had a little back and forth about if the NCAA is going to follow the rules in this specific scenario, he's done. Like he's never going to play another snap of college football again. Now he'll go to the NFL and we'll see what happens there. But if they hold true to what their rules actually are, he will no longer be playing college football. Will Hammond, who knows if he'll be ready for week 1? If he is, we saw the flaws and the upside of Will Hammond last year. The thing that stopped Texas Tech from doing anything was their quarterback position. And that seems like it's going to be the same case this year.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, Brendan Sorsby has reportedly checked himself into some sort of rehab for a gambling addiction. Several reports out there that Sorsby has bet on thousands or placed thousands of bets over the years, which isn't entirely against the rules. But back in 2022, the reports state that he did bet on IU football games while he was at IU, while he didn't play and he redshirted that year. That still is against the NCAA rules, which is clearly outlined that he will lose all eligibility depending on what the outcome of the NCAA investigation is. But pretty cut and dry. If you bet on your teams or any other sports at your specific school, you're gone from college athletics. So we'll see what the NCAA has in store. Again, Rubus and I had a very, very solid 15-minute discussion that's going to hit your guys' feeds Tuesday morning. So definitely check that one out. Rubus, before we dive into 9 of the Sun Devils, I want to spend some time and give some love to 2 of the guys that ended up getting drafted over the weekend. We know Jordyn Tyson ended up with the Saints in the first round, Max Iheanachor as well with the Steelers. And we both thought day 2 would be the day that we would see Kieth Abney off the board. Day 2, rounds 2 and 3, they went and Keith Abney's name was still kind of in limbo, didn't end up getting drafted until that third and final day of the 2026 NFL draft. The Detroit Lions turned in the pick 157, round 5. Keith Abney headed to the Detroit Lions, Noah's Detroit Lions of all places.
This is the steal of the draft. I mean, we can let Noah talk about it a little bit, but this also might be the perfect team for Keith to go to as well, as far as how they utilize players that are his stature that play his position. I mean, this is ridiculous. Keith was a top 5 corner in college football last year. I mean, this is just dumb. And again, I think that draft season, there's always players that teams end up, getting in their own way over. And I think Keith Abney is one of those guys. I get it. He's short. Whatever, man. Watch football. Like, watch the tape. This guy is one of the best at his position that is in the draft. Now, I get he's not going to be a first round pick, probably not a second round pick because of the height. I understand that. It's the National Football League. This is an athletically based, stature based league. I get it. But once you get past that, the fact that he gets all the way down to where he went to the Lions, it's a borderline malpractice from some of these front offices. Now, that being said, I'd love to hear from Noah because I talked to him a little bit the day of his thoughts on the Lions getting Keith Abney and how this might work out for both parties involved because this might just be what was meant to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions the last couple of years had a corner in Amika Robertson, who is short in stature, I think 5'7" or 5'8",
Wow.
very similar to a Keith Abney type of player, and he has that kind of dog mentality, really enforces himself on the defense, and the Lions really enjoyed using him in packages, and he filled in a lot with the Lions' defensive back injuries, and they lost him to Washington this year in free agency. So I think this is going to be perfect. The coaches know exactly what to do with Keith. They know how to use him. They know how to use somebody with his size. His skill is going to do the talking. I can see him being a huge addition to the team and potentially someone that could be a pop in training camp and could even start. He could start day one. Honestly, he's a hell of a football player.
He is. He's an absolute technician. Erik and I saw it firsthand, obviously, in Tempe with what this kid was capable of doing. And somebody that has never let all the outside noise and discussion about him really impact what he puts on the field, right? Somebody that never got an opportunity while he was in high school, no Division I offers outside of Arizona State. Took his chance, right, to go from Texas to Tempe, really starting that pipeline, and the rest is really history. I mean, what he did at ASU as a perimeter guy the last 2 seasons was remarkable. I think Noah, you're probably with me on this. He's more of an inside corner. He's more of a nickel guy at this level, based off the fact that he is 5'9". But still, I mean, this guy's ball skills, he's an absolute technician with what he does in terms of footwork. I love the fit. I think Dan Campbell is going to use the fact that Keith fell kind of to his advantage here. And I'm with you, Erik. I think this could potentially end up being one of the steals, not just of day 3, but one of the steals of the draft in general. Because like you said, Keith is a top 5 corner, or was a top 5 corner in college football. So the fact that he fell out of rounds 2 and 3 and made it all the way to 5, I mean, really had me scratching my head. Again, like, teams kind of get in their own way sometimes when it comes down to it, but you only needed one to take a chance. And I'm glad that he ended up in Detroit with the Lions. I think that's going to be a solid fit for him.
Yeah, I mean, Keith Abney shut down entire halves of the football field for 2 straight seasons, right? I mean, there is an argument, and I talked to Noah about this the day of, after they produced an incredible draft show over for PHNX Cardinals, and there is an argument that Keith Abney over the last 2 seasons has collectively been the best player on Arizona State because Jordyn Tyson has obviously the top level talent of maybe anybody that we've ever seen on the offensive side of the football at Arizona State, but availability is something to be said there. Keith has been available for those entire 2 years. Cam Scadoo played 1 year, Sam Levitt played 1 year, right? There are a couple other key pieces on the defense. I think Keith was the best player on that defense. I think he was a better player than Max Iheanachor. I think Iheanachor got drafted because there's a lot of potential there, right?
Mhm.
And I think he deserved where he got drafted. I think Keith has been a better football player the last 2 years. I think there's an argument that Keith has been the best consistent football player on Arizona State the last 2 seasons. that means something. Like, there are guys who just can go out there and they're just good at football. Maybe they're not the biggest, maybe they're not the strongest. There are plenty of guys that when they get on the field, they just make things happen. That is absolutely, absolutely. Okay, Sharon, I know that Scat played 2 years. I'm talking about the last 2 years of ASU football. This past season and the year before that. Scat's only played one of those years, is what I'm saying. So that was why I said that. I know that Scat played here for 2 years, but I'm talking about the last 2 seasons, championship run, bowl game. Keith Abney, you could argue, has been the best, most consistent top end player out of anybody that was on either of those two teams.
Yeah, 1000%. I think the Lions got an absolute stud in Keith Abney. I really do. And I know he's going to absolutely tear it up in Detroit. So super excited for him. Not the only Sun Devil to land in the NFC North, though. Also on the defensive side of the ball, Keyshaun Elliott, he ended up getting drafted also in that 5th round, pick 166 by the Chicago Bears. Didn't really think that would be a potential landing spot for him, but excited that he also got his opportunity. I know you've been, pounding the table for this guy for quite some time, really since the draft cycle started. He's been somebody a part of this Arizona State defense, Erik, the last several seasons. He's been an absolute force at linebacker for the Sun Devils through those couple years. Maybe isn't the fastest guy in the world or the biggest linebacker, but he has the instincts of an NFL caliber player. And I think that's a big reason why he got drafted and potentially a big reason why he could see the field in Chicago maybe sooner rather than later.
I've been saying it for a long time. Like you mentioned, Keyshawn Elliott's an NFL player. Like an NFL player. Not, oh, he's going to get drafted and be in the NFL. He is an NFL player. He is at least a rotation piece, if not sometime ending up being a starter. You don't do what he did consistently as far as racking up the amount of tackles that he got at the linebacker position, leading the team in sacks last year, being so good instinctually on when to rush the passer, when to drop back. I can't remember, and I don't have the greatest memory, but I can't remember like a mistake from Keyshawn Elliott or like a missed tackle from Keyshawn Elliott. Like these are not things that I can come to mind with. Now I'm sure they happened every once in a while, but I don't think there was ever a moment where it was like, man, Keyshawn's having a bad game. Man, Keyshawn's missing tackles left and right. Man, Keyshawn completely misread that, and the guy was wide open right over the middle. Or, man, Keyshawn tried to rush the quarterback, and it was just the wrong decision. I can't remember any of those things. Now, I'm not saying that he's a perfect football player. I'm just saying that he is a very good one, and he's a good athlete too. So I didn't see the Bears as a landing spot for him either. I think he got drafted around the time that we had him going, maybe
Yeah.
even a little bit earlier as well. But the same thing with Keith, where it's just like if you watch football games, there are two types of players in this world, Totri. There are ones that on paper do really well, and there are ones that on the field do really, wow,
Wow.
really,
Willie
really well.
well.
Really, really well.
And Keyshawn
Uh,
Elliott, he did really well last
he
year.
did really well, and he played a lot of really good football. I don't know what's going on today. But Keyshawn just makes plays, right? Like
Yeah.
he's always there and he doesn't make mistakes. It's a very good combination that NFL teams clearly value. Like a 5th round pick where he was drafted, I think is a little higher than maybe we had him going, but around that area. I'm very happy for him, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, you had Keyshawn going pick 211 to the Ravens. I had him going pick 193 to the Giants. So he went about 30 spots higher than I had him, and about 50 spots higher than you had him.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd much rather be wrong this way than the way we were wrong about Keith, right? Where I had him at pick 70 and you had him at pick 69, obviously falling about 100 spots beyond that, or around that. So again, we full faith in Keith and Keyshawn that they're going to go tear it up at this next level. I wouldn't be shocked if Keith saw the field earlier than Keyshawn did. Keyshawn, for me, maybe feels like somebody that's going to have to carve out a role in special teams and then be a rotational piece at linebacker. But you never know. You could sometimes have these guys just absolutely stand out in training camp, and be studs and see the field early and often, which, of course, we'd love to see. It wouldn't be the first time we saw a Sun Devil in Tempe tear it up at a training camp or in the preseason and then go on to have a solid year. Go look at what Cam Scadaboo did his rookie year before getting hurt. So a lot of belief in those two guys, but just two of 11, Erik, that are headed to the NFL. We talked about now all 4 of the guys that ended up getting drafted. 7 Sun Devils got minicamp invites. They got signed as undrafted free agents. We're going to tell you who they are and where they ended up on the other side of our first break.
All right. 3, 2, 1. It's really nice outside today, but we all know it's going to get really, really hot sometime soon. And usually that means your energy prices are going to spike. But not with our friends over at APS. If you choose their budget billing option, which averages out your payment over the year so that you pay around the same amount every single month. No energy spikes in the summer when it's not just your AC that's running, but you're staying inside, your TV's on, your fans are on, you're not going out as much. You're just using everything in your house more, which means you're using more energy. With budget billing with APS, you can average out that payment over the year, or you can use rate plan options where you can look back at your last couple months of spending and see how much you would have been spending with different rate plan options and then pick the right one for you. Maybe you're already saving the most amount of money. Maybe you're not. APS is here to help you find out what's best for you. Go to aps.com/let's talk to find ways to manage your bill as prices go up in the summer. That's aps.com/let's talk.
Look, we've all heard about the big 3, right? Relaxation, vacation, and of course, celebration. And who wouldn't want the chance to multiply those things in their life? Well, if you do, or maybe even if you're unsure, maybe check out our friends over at the Arizona Lottery, specifically their multiplier scratchers, because they're the perfect way to add to your life. Like we said, with those multiplier scratchers from the Arizona Lottery, you guys could multiply the great things in your life. The big 3, right? Vacation, relaxation, and of course, celebration, because with over $270 million in prizes, that is correct. You heard me loud and clear. With over $270 million in prizes, you could win big enough to do more of the things that you love. And those multiplier tickets, they start at just $1, and they've got prizes up to $5 million. That's right. $1, chance to win $5 million. With access to over 3,500 retailers across the state, you guys can play whenever and wherever you'd like. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Rubus just wilding on a Monday. Maybe it's because the Phoenix Suns, they are back on the hardwood this evening. And while they're still in the playoffs, Erik, we still have a die-hard deal going on.
Die Hard still ends tonight, realistically speaking. But $32 for your first year of being a Die Hard. Maybe they extend it to Wednesday. Maybe not. This deal only goes for as long as the Suns are in the playoffs. So free shirt or hat of your choice from the store, access to the Die Hard Discord, 20% off merch and events, the Die Hard welcome kit, plus Die Hard only articles, not just about the Suns, but about, of course, Arizona State and all of the other teams that we cover here. We'll have lots of Die Hard articles for you on our website. Again, $32 is only active while the Suns are in the playoffs. So that might end tonight. So if you are putting it off, don't put it off anymore. Come be a diehard. Come hang out with us.
And Rubus, just confirming, another watch along tonight, another post-game show, pre-game show, all the things.
Pre-game, watch-along, post-game show, Suns trying to stay alive, trying to be the first team in 3 seasons to beat Oklahoma City in the first round of the playoffs once. So, tall task ahead of them at home, but let's see if they could do it.
Let's see. Well, it was a tall task for some of these Sun Devils to land on NFL rosters, but they found a way to get it done. And why not start with your guy, your man of the season? Nobody fought harder for the M&M quite like Erik Ruby. Malik McClain, come on down. You're headed to New York or New Jersey, wherever it is, to go play for the New York Jets as undrafted free agent or headed to rookie minicamp, one of the two. I mean, I didn't see it. I didn't see it happening. But, man, I mean, you got to have just been elated to see the news of Malik McClain heading to the NFL, man.
Starting by week 6, Totri.
You want to place a wager?
No, I don't.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I am not Brendan Sorsby. I don't bet on the teams that I cover. But
you don't cover the Jets?
No, but I covered Malik at ASU. No, okay, so here's the thing. I am not surprised that Malik is getting a shot in the NFL. That dude is so athletic that it pisses me off that he wasn't able to do more here. Like, and to be fair, like, he had his moments. He had a couple of games, maybe a game where he was maybe the best player on the field, right? He has every single athletic tool in his toolbox. He has every single skill that a wide receiver needs to be on an NFL level. I don't know what it was that stopped him from being who he needed to be here, but I'm not surprised he's getting a shot. Do I think he's going to end up being like an actual NFL wide receiver? Probably not. But would I be lying to you if I said that there wasn't like a 0.1% chance that he actually ends up being a productive NFL player? Like, I would be lying. Like, I think it's possible, man. I still believe. I'm the only guy on Malik McClain Island. It's just me. Not even Malik McClain's on Malik McClain Island. I'm holding the spot for him. I've got 2 fold-out chairs, one for me, one for him, and I've planted my flag on Malik McClain Island. I think I think he will record at least 1 catch in an NFL game in his career.
Wow. I mean, just super bold. 1 catch through his whole career in the NFL.
At least.
Nah, good for Malik, man. Good for him getting his opportunity. I hope he makes the most of it. Obviously, you know, he did some things at ASU, both good and bad. And yeah, I wish him nothing but luck with the New York Jets. Lord knows the Jets could use it all. But Malik McClain now catching passes from Geno Smith. We'll see how that ends up going. But Malik, not the only undrafted Sun Devil to land in the league, headed to a mini camp. Shimon Mateer at tight end, joining Max Iheanachor in Pittsburgh. Of course, Max got drafted. Shimon is an undrafted free agent, headed to the Steelers. I like the fit, if I'm being honest with you, just based off of how Pittsburgh has used their tight ends in the past. We'll see if he makes the roster, but at the very least, I think Shimon Mateer to Pittsburgh is going to be a fun combination.
This is the perfect fit, right? Because what was the thing with Shimon is like he just did the dirty work, right? I mean, he was a really good blocking tight end. He was a security blanket, you know, for whoever was throwing the ball. I think he's a really good football player. I thought that there was maybe a chance he got drafted. Obviously, ended up being a long shot and not happening, but I think Pittsburgh is kind of the perfect identity and the perfect culture for Shimon Mateer. I think that I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do the dirty work. He might be, you know, somebody who is not going to be featured in the offense for a little bit of time, but he certainly has the talent and the ability to do so. Also, really cool that he's with Iheanachor. I think that's going to be really fun for both of them to kind of keep a little bit of familiarity there. But I think that the ability to block for Shimon is going to take him a long way in the NFL as far as being able to stick around. Just how big of a role will he get? I'm not sure. But I do think the Steelers as an organization have found somebody that they can definitely see themselves in Shimon.
Agreed, and I think that's a position for Pittsburgh. Again, I'm not going to pretend to know every single body that they have in that tight end room, but like outside of what Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, do they really have anybody else at tight end? So I think there's certainly an opportunity for Shimon to earn a spot on that roster when it's all said and done. Of course, it's going to be an uphill battle, as it always is for undrafted free agents. But all you need is that one team to take a chance, and Shimon and Malik both got that. And so did Jordan Crook and Miles Ghost Rouser. Another pair of Sun Devils headed to the same place, except these two, Crook and Ghost, are headed to Seattle, the reigning Super Bowl champion Seahawks, for a little mini camp undrafted free agent action. I mean, does it get any better than this? Does Ghost Rouser, like, I know we both wanted him and had him like kind of pictured in the AFC North, right, with Pittsburgh or maybe a Baltimore, but yeah, go to the Seattle Seahawks, the defending champs, where it's just a filthy, nasty, grinded out kind of defense. I love the invites for both of these guys. Two guys, again, that didn't get drafted, but both have a massive chip on their shoulder.
As a Cardinals fan, I don't like this. I don't like this at all because I do like the fit a lot. I do think that they fit in a lot. I think that if any team that's not, again, like some of the first that you named, is going to get just two fast, hard hitting defensive players that can like literally collapse your lung by tackling you, it is the Seattle Seahawks, right? I don't know exactly how much either of them will play because I think the idea of them being there is really, really good, and I think there's certainly a chance. However, that is an, again, championship winning team, which means it's going to be even harder to find a way to get on the field and to get on the team. Like the standard is high. So it might be good for them to be in an organization that matches their intensity, that kind of fits who they want to be and who they are as football players. But I will say, as far as like actually finding a way to get on the field this year, this is probably the two longest shots. And it has nothing to do with them individually and everything to do with just how good of a team the Seahawks were last year and what they plan to be this upcoming year.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle, not only for them to see the field, but just to make the roster. But the fact that they got those invites, I know, again, like we've said a number of times with these guys, it just takes one opportunity. And I think Ghost specifically is going to be somebody that puts it all out there and showcases it. Not that Crook's not, but Ghost has a calling card, right? The physicality. So go put that on display in minicamp. And we'll see if one of these guys can make the roster. Crook as well. I think Jordyn Crook has been maybe one of the best developed linebackers at ASU in recent memory. Somebody who started at, transferred over from Arkansas as a special teamer and then became a true guy that you could rely on this defense for Arizona State for quite some time. Again, similar to a Kieth, maybe isn't the biggest linebacker in the world, but somebody that plays a lot bigger than what they're listed at. So excited to see what's in store for those two. Three other Sun Devils, Erik, landing across the NFL, and one still hopeful to get a call. We're going to tell you who and where they went on the other side of our second break.
Totri, I'll go ahead and say it for you. I am looking pretty handsome today. Thank you for pointing that out. And it has to be our friends over at Branded Bills that are helping us out. In fact, Branded Bills, man, I was at PT last week and my physical therapist was like, yeah, I got this hat at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. It was a Branded Bills hat. He's like, do you know about Branded Bills? And I was like, brother,
buddy, do I ever
know about Branded Bills? We had this whole conversation about how great Branded Bills has, everything that they do when they partner with ASU, all their other universities, the snapbacks, the truckers, the fitted, the beanies, the tees, how we over here at PHNX have our own custom Branded Bills hats. And I even hit him with this at the end. I said, hey, man, we got a discount code. If you want a discount code on some Branded Bills hats, he goes, you do? I go, oh, yeah, we do. It's BB PHNX 15 for 15% off at brandedbills.com. That's BB PHNX 15 for 15% off over at Branded Bills. Be like my physical therapist and wear some Branded Bills hats.
Like, it's time to tell you about the best edibles in the game. Of course, we're talking about Pure Edibles. They were founded here in the Valley, and they're available now in over 150 dispensaries statewide. Absolutely incredible stuff. I love Pure Edibles for a couple different reasons, mainly because they don't taste like weed. We've all been there. If you've had an edible, odds are you've had one that has kind of just like a weird aftertaste, doesn't taste great, but that's not the case with Pure, because they're a full-fledged candy company offering gummies. They've got Kicks, which are their version of Starburst. Who doesn't love Starburst? Of course, they've got chews, soft candies like caramel, and then hard candies as well. And I know Erik loves them because he wants to dial in his exact dose. And Pure, well, it's super easy to rip or bite them in half. And of course, the effects are clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what effects you guys can expect. But hey, maybe you're somebody that doesn't want to enjoy the uplifting effects of Pure Edibles, but you have a tough time sleeping. Well, you're in luck, because Pure, they've got themselves some sleep support gummies as well. Make sure you go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 150 dispensaries across Arizona, now including True Leaf. 30 of you guys in here, only 7 likes, man. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Come on, let's show a little Sun Devil love here
I mean, come on,
on
guys. What is
a
this something I said?
Monday. We do appreciate everybody watching live, watching after the fact, and of course listening on audio as well. Rubus, Xavion Alford to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, didn't end up getting drafted. We talked for a lot of the draft cycle about how many Sun Devils would get drafted, right? Between the number 4 and 5. We were in agreement. Elliot, Abney, Tyson, Iheanachor would get drafted. The 5th question mark was always Xavion Alford. And unfortunately, Alford didn't get the call during draft weekend. But afterwards, he did get the call, and he's headed to Tampa with the Bucs. And if we've learned anything, it is don't bet against Xavion Alford.
Yeah, the most important thing for X right now is that he's fully healthy because he's played one healthy year of college football in his career, and it was an fantastic year of college football. It was one that got him in the conversation to possibly be an All-American the next year. Like this guy's really good at football as long as he's out there and on the field. As Sharon says, if X is healthy, he will impress them.
Yes.
So the most important thing is he found a home, he found a team. And honestly, as much as I love all these guys that we're talking about here, if there's anybody that we've talked about since we stopped talking about guys who got drafted who are going to actually be seeing the field this year, it will be Xavion Alford. And I say that with respect to everybody else because they certainly have a chance, and I want them to, and I believe that they can. But if Xavion Alford was healthy, he would have been, picked maybe before Keith Abney, given the size concerns. He might have been the 3rd Sun Devil off the draft board. He's very, very good, and if he's fully healthy, which I do believe that he probably could have rushed back at the end of this season and put his body on the line in a way that wasn't necessary and would have maybe harmed his future. And that's not me reporting. That's just kind of like following the timeline here. Like, I think that he needed to be fully healthy and he knew it. And so hopefully he's going into this camp. He's going into this summer fully healthy, ready to impress an NFL team. And I think he will.
Yeah, I think I echo that. If there's anybody as a Sun Devil that's going to make a roster as an undrafted free agent, I think Xavion Alford would be my pick here. He is somebody that shows up every day as a true professional, has done so for quite some time. Friend of the program, as a lot of these guys have been. But Xavion Alford's he's a different cat, man. I think him landing in Tampa is awesome. I'm glad he's getting his opportunity. And like I said earlier, if there's anybody that you can't write off and you can't doubt, it's this kid, because he has had an absolutely roller coaster of a time playing football from the moment he got into college football to the whole NCAA waiver situation, where he had to sit out a season and then comes back and could have technically come back another year of college, but somebody that really wanted to get that NFL career started given his age, and somebody that I think is got a bright future in the NFL 1000%. So we've talked a lot about some of these defensive players, specifically from that 2024 championship run for Arizona State, that have found themselves as undrafted free agents in the league, or at the very least getting invites to rookie minicamps. And Prince Dorba is another one to the Buffalo Bills. I think Prince Dorba is a fascinating player here in Buffalo, somebody that has all the physical tools to be a very, very productive player. Felt like injuries and maybe some other things kind of hindered him from ever truly putting it together at ASU. He had his massive game where he pretty much won the game for ASU against TCU this past season. But other than that, kind of a down year for Prince. Always had high expectations for him, but he just never seemed right after that Camp Tantazona injury. But again, somebody that has all the physical tools, like we've kind of talked about with some of these other guys, Erik. And I'm excited to see if he can finally put it together, and if maybe a change of scenery, going to Buffalo, having to work for it again, right at this next level, is potentially what he needs to find himself as an NFL player.
Yeah, he's fascinating. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see if he can carve out a somewhat consistent career on an NFL roster, let alone on the field. I talked a lot about how over the last 2 years, Kieth was maybe the most consistently like available and great player for Arizona State. I think there's an argument that Prince Dorba played individually the single greatest game for Arizona State that any player played over the last couple of seasons. Right now, obviously, given the circumstances and how much was on the line for the Big 12 championship game and the college football playoff games, the end of 2024 and all of that, like he probably wouldn't take the cake. But statistically speaking, single game impact speaking, that TCU game is one of the single greatest defensive performances we've seen in ASU history in one game, right? You can't just be a one game guy in the NFL. You can't be a two game guy in the NFL. You have to be a consistent player in practice. You have to consistently make an impact just to get a sniff of the roster, let alone to be on the field. So I don't know, man. I would not be surprised if, at the end of the day, it's not maybe in the cards for Prince Dorba to be on an NFL roster, but would I be shocked if he does end up figuring it out, putting it together, maybe finding a better spot as far as trying to earn it, getting himself in the mental state to bring it and to be consistent? Like, no, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't rule it out, but he has not been consistent. Like, but
Yeah.
he hasn't been terrible, but he just hasn't been the guy that we saw versus TCU, which is hard to sustain. But he really hadn't been close to that in other games this year.
Yeah, no, 1000%. I couldn't agree more. I think there is certainly a level that he needs to take his game up a notch if he is, and like if he's going to actually end up on this roster, a roster in Buffalo that, as we know, is trying to compete for a Super Bowl. The last Sun Devil that did get a call, I didn't see coming. If I'm going to be honest with you, defensive back Nyland Green. Nyland Green headed to Atlanta with the Falcons rookie minicamp, undrafted free agent. Somebody that, played sparingly at Arizona State, was always kind of a backup, somebody that's had a really unique college football career. I want to say at one point was a true 5-star caliber player, went to Georgia, didn't work out at Georgia, went to Purdue, had an uptick at Purdue, transferred to ASU. Like we said, was always kind of a backup, but somebody that is a very lengthy corner, has got the size that you want. And in Atlanta, maybe there's some of those spots available. Again, we'll see if he makes the roster. But Erik, that's not a name that I expected to hear, given some of the other guys that didn't ultimately get calls.
I say this respectfully. This is a pedigree pick, right? Like you were a 5-star, you played at Georgia. We're going to just kind of take a chance on you. I was same boat as you, man. I don't really have anything else to say on that, but I was pretty surprised.
And one
I
Sun
wish I
Devil
wish him the
who's,
best though. Like I wish him the
yeah,
best. Like I hope he plays. Like I got nothing against the guy. I don't think we said his name once talking about anything NFL related this
no,
entire
no,
season.
not at all. Not even, not a lick. Like, not even close. I'm pretty sure I brought up Jameto Obibo before I brought up Nyland Green. So there's that, right? Take that with a grain of salt there. Justin Watley, though, still not somebody that has been invited to a rookie minicamp, to my knowledge. As of 20 hours ago, had tweeted, quote, "You're not going to get a more gritty, determined, nasty MF to play in your D-line. I'm ready. Call me," in all caps. So still nothing at this point in time, Erik. I think a lot of it potentially has to do with age when we're talking about Justin Watley, somebody that had his most productive season in college football this past season in 2025, 6.5 sacks, 42 total tackles, but had been in college football specifically since 2021. This is a guy in his mid-20s at this point in time. If you're not a hyper-productive player, it is going to be difficult at that age, I think, to get a call. I still think there's a chance that he gets to land on a rookie minicamp kind of roster. I think Arizona State has enough of those ties in him potentially to make that happen. I'm hopeful. Unfortunately, though, still no news on what Justin Watley's future looks like in the league.
I think it's so weird, the age thing, right? Because everybody's older there, right? Like, I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't at least get a chance, right? He was hyper productive for the end of the season. He's a good dude. He's a great locker room guy. I think he's a good football player. I'm not sure why he wouldn't find a spot. I think at the end of the day, he'll get an invite somewhere. I don't know where. But this was surprising and unfortunate. I think he's good enough to at least get a chance. I don't know if the age is the only thing that you have against him, then you don't really have anything against him because he's going to be going up against other people who are probably older than him, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little confusing on that front. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes out. I just did a little search to see if any news came down. We're up here, still nothing yet on him, but yeah, this is it's pretty strange.
Yeah, Z-Man in the chat, great glue guy. Bet someone will find a chance somewhere for him. Yeah, I mean, we wish all these guys the absolute very best. 7 Sun Devils as undrafted free agents, or at the very least, invites to rookie minicamps. Erik, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Out of the 7, how many are on NFL rosters come week 1?
X, Shaman, Malik, one of Crook and Alford. So 4.
You mean Crook and Ghost?
Crook and Ghost. Yeah, sorry. Crook and Ghost.
Who? Yeah. No love for Nyland still, huh?
He's starting week 8.
Yeah. I agree with you on some of them. I think Alford for me is definitely one guy that's gonna end up on he'll be on a roster day 1. I want to say Ghost and Crook. I want to. I really do. I'm hopeful that they end up doing it. I just think it's going to be such an uphill battle. So I'll say Ghost. I'll say Ghost and Alford. And I think that might be it. I think that might be it for me. Again, I'd love to see Shaman make the roster. I really would. All these guys, I'd love to. It's just such a difficult task as a undrafted free agent to do that. As we know with some guys at Arizona State in the past, right? Leaf Fautanu with I want to say the Bears, either the Bears or the Lions, didn't obviously work out. You look at a guy like Shamari that was invited to a rookie minicamp, didn't end up working out. Like, it happens all the time. But very, very hopeful that all of these guys eventually land on NFL rosters. But if I had to give you just one, I'm never betting against Xavion Alford. So that's who I would say. Let us know in the chat. Out of all those guys, who do you think has the best chance to make an NFL roster at the start of the 2026 NFL season? But enough of the NFL, right? This is a college podcast, so we're going to start talking some college hoops, specifically Randy Bennett's newest edition on the other side of our final break. Tell me if you've heard this before. There are 2 things in this world. There are wants
And
and there are needs. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Look, everybody, they want a checking account. You need a checking account, but you got to have one that's got those built-in perks and benefits, and that's exactly what you're going to get with the Mountain America Credit Union My Style checking account. Okay, we tell you daily about those perks that you guys can enjoy, but if you're new here, we'll run through it again. Restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, and more. My personal favorite, of course, those offers on travel and events, because who doesn't want offers on travel and events just for having a My Style checking account? So make My Style your lifestyle over a Mountain America Credit Union. And if you're still not sold, maybe you want your credit union to support your university, well, you are in luck, because home to the football team, home to Kenny Dillingham's Arizona State Sun Devils, none other than Mountain America Stadium. Make sure you visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits required. No cost registration/activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
If you're watching on YouTube, you saw me look up during that ad read, and what I was looking at was this hat that I have off camera here. This right here is a Phoenix
Wow.
Suns 2025 draft hat. That's from Fanatics, because Fanatics has everything that the sports fan needs, including a Fanatics app that's way more than just getting quality hats like that and all your favorite sports merchandise, whether it's vintage, which Fanatics app has, or whether it's the new stuff. The Fanatics app also goes above and beyond. You can earn fan cash by playing free games. That's right, free games throughout the NBA playoffs, or play a free home run pick'em game in the Fanatics app for your chance to win $250 in fan cash. As you said, Totri, it's free games to win free fan cash to get real things in the app. You can also buy tickets. You can buy memorabilia like trading cards, autographs, everything like that over in one place. It has to be the Fanatics app, your all-in-one destination for every part of your sports fandom, from official gear to collectibles to game tickets to jerseys to everything that you can get with fan cash. Download the Fanatics app today and start cashing in on your fandom. Get it today at gophnx.com/fanatics. That's gophnx.com/fanatics. App access open to all 21 plus to play the games. No purchase necessary. US only. Void where prohibited.
Sharon says, I feel like Shaman was underutilized this year. I think he will make a team. Also saying, for the undrafted guys, I feel best about Alford and Shaman, but not counting out Ghost. Again, very hopeful that all these guys find a way onto an NFL roster. I think there's certainly a chance for all of them. That's why they got the call. But moving on to ASU men's basketball. Rubus, Randy heard us. He finally went and got himself a center. Ben Defty, come on down from Boston University to Arizona State. Guy that averaged 15.1 points per game last season, 6.8 boards, shot at nearly a 70% clip from the floor, 1.9 assists, and nearly 2 blocks per game. Here he is, your likely starting center for Arizona State to tip off that 2026 season. Rubus, what do we think?
I like it. I mean, Randy Bennett's kind of taking a gamble here and building, like a non P4 All Stars team, like we mentioned before. And I think this is going to be such a fascinating experiment in the Big 12. Each of these individual players are really, really good. I mean, Ben Defty is somebody that like Ohio State fans were really wanting him, Illinois fans were really wanting him. Like, he's a good player. 2026 All Patriot League defensive team, 2026 Patriot League All Tournament team, 2026 All Patriot League second team. Started all 33 games, and also helped Boston reach their first Patriot League title game since 2020, and shot a program record 49.5% from the field. So that's the best that anybody's ever shot from the field in that program's history.
A true
right?
7-footer, by the way, as well.
Yes, an absolute true set. Like, this guy, he's just a big man.
Yeah.
Post hooks, putbacks, lob dunks, rebounds. That's what you're getting out of this guy. No stretch big, no self-creation. But you know what? With how this roster is kind of built, that's all you really need. He's going to be doing the dirty work. He's going to be setting tough screens, crashing hard on the glass, finishing around the rim. And when you break down what the starting lineup might look like, it is fascinating, because we said the one thing that they need, right? They got Morauskas, they got Dylan Shaw, they got Inocente, they got Foxwell, right? They brought back Ford and VJ Wallace. J-Rob Croy is going to be coming off of the bench for this team. Nate Garcia is your backup center. What do you need? You need a starting center. This guy's good. Like, this is a good player. Like, this is a really good player that I think is a pretty good pickup for Randy Bennett. He's not going to do anything insane. I don't think he's an NBA player, but I think he's one of those, like, he's going to do all the dirty works and do exactly what you need him to do for this roster in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, scored double figures in 30 of those 33 games that he ended up playing in last season at Boston University. Like you said, I think your starting 5 looks like it's there at this point. We're in agreement here. Joel Foxwell at the 1, and Inocente at the. Are we going 2 or 3 with Inocente, Erik?
Him and Shaw will be the 2 and the 3. They're going to be pretty similar. Inocente probably slots in as the 2. I think he's a little smaller height-wise than Dylan Shaw, but I see those two guys being the 2 and the 3 kind of interchangeably.
So we'll say Inocente at the 2, Dylan Shaw 3, Paulos Morauskas at the 4, and then Ben Defty at the 5. Here's a full look at what the Arizona State men's basketball roster looks like at this point in time in terms of those transfers. Marcus Vaughns from LSU, Nate Garcia, likely your backup center, 7-footer from Cal Baptist. Mentioned Emmanuel Innocenti from Gonzaga, likely starter. Dylan Shaw, transferring from St. Mary's, likely starter. Paulus Morauskas, your likely star for Arizona State going into this season. Joel Foxwell, the point guard out of Portland. Ben Defty from Boston University, who we discussed. J-Rob Croy, the only freshman at this point in time to commit to Arizona State. Bryce Ford and VJ Wallace as your returners. Still a handful of spots left for Arizona State to try and plug and play on this roster, likely as some depth guys. How are we feeling, though, about what Randy Bennett and his staff have put together in their first offseason, a really unprecedented offseason for Randy Bennett and the Sun Devils?
Let me turn this question around on you, Totri. Are you either nervous or worried about this anymore?
No, I'm excited, honestly. I'm juiced. I'm amped. I'm ready. I haven't, if I'm being honest, I can't think of a time where I've been more excited for ASU men's basketball, to just get here. And I'm not even talking about in the sense of, man, I think this team is going to go dancing, or man, I think this team is going to compete at a really high level in the Big 12. Those things could potentially be true. They absolutely could. They could be untrue, right? I don't know. But I'm very hopeful again. I mean, that's the word of the day. But to see what Randy and the staff have put together in the first offseason at Arizona State, on top of the fact with everything that he's been dealing with off the court, for the roster to look like this and still have several spots to go, I'm just ready to see how it looks. And if it does fit the bill and, they play to the system that Randy implemented at St. Mary's, then I think this is going to be a very, very fun and exciting season of Arizona State men's basketball.
They've done a very good job. A very, very, very good job. I'd say an A+ so far with what we are able to grade them on. Now, if they go and they lose games, that A+ goes away. We have to just see if that happens. Totri, Randy Bennett is doing this, his first year coaching P4, with health issues, without a renovated DFA, without upgraded facilities, without a massive influx of NIL money that comes with winning consistently. What is he going to do when he gets those things? That is the fascinating thing here. Another fascinating trend that we're seeing is Randy Bennett coached in the WCC. And if you noticed, a lot of really good coaches and players from the WCC followed him there, which means he's very well respected, which means once he coaches in the Big 12 for 3, 4, 5 years, gets a renovated DFA, gets more money, wins games, guess what? Maybe these transfers stop coming from the WCC as much. Maybe they start coming from the Big 12. It seems like there's a pattern with who's been added to this team overall with Shaw and Morauskas and Foxwell. This is shaping up to be exactly what Arizona State men's basketball needs to be. The only thing that's missing is now the opportunity to go and win games, because none of this matters if you don't win games, but we know that he's a good coach. We know that he's won games. I want to be honest with you, where I'm sitting right now, I'm looking at that tournament and I'm saying, are we going to win more tournament games in year 1 of Randy Bennett than we did in 11 years of Bobby Hurley?
Jeez,
I think that I think it's completely on the table. I think they have a talented enough roster. They've got their star. They're figuring things out as far as the depth goes. I think they have their starting 5. I think they even have kind of their 5 off the bench. Maybe they get one more guy in there that's going to be a legitimate contributor to the team. I think it's well constructed. I think Randy Bennett's a great coach. I think he has a great staff. The Big 12 is a very respected conference. If you're an upper middle of the pack team in the Big 12, you're making the tournament.
Yeah.
So I think these are legit conversations that we're going to be able to be had. But at the end of the day, it only matters if they actually show up and start winning.
For sure. For sure. I think it's an exciting time, again, for Arizona State men's basketball, Arizona State athletics in general. And like Sharon says in the chat, if you're not a diehard yet, go take advantage of that $32 for the whole year deal. It's super cheap. She says, join us in the Discord. It's genuinely fun in there. Always people wanting to talk ASU sports. Yeah, if you find yourself as the ASU sports sicko, a part of your friend group, you find yourself at Arizona State sporting events in those Arizona State discussions, now is the time. Just because this is a deal based around the Suns playoffs doesn't mean that you don't get access to all of the ASU perks as well. Diehard only content, diehard Discord, and so much more. So make sure you head to go phnx.com, click that diehard tab, and sign up today. That is going to do it for this Monday edition of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Like we said off the top, we will have a full audio-only episode hitting your feed tomorrow morning. We'll also be doing a show at 1 in the afternoon. And we have a special guest from the football team coming in studio this week for an hour-long discussion similar to what we did for Brian Carrington. So that'll be on the menu a little bit later on this week, a conversation that I'm super excited for everybody to see. Again, over an hour long, a lot of fun. So make sure you're subscribed to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button, and make sure you follow the show at PHNX_Sun Devils on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow Lecce Larry at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. Don't worry about following the Wooly Wulbrecht. He is already following you. And yes, Sharon, diehards will absolutely find out first who that guest is. But in the meantime, we'll see you on Tuesday. Go Devils, and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.